what's good, fam? It's Mr. Kelly with Good of the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today, I'm going to talk about snitching. Snitching is a big deal in the culture. And this, of course, comes on the heels of what's happened recently with Tekashi 6ix9ine. And more specifically, not the case that he had with Treyway, but more specifically, him calling out Snoop Dogg, and then Snoop Dogg's response, and then a whole lot of other rappers putting in their 2 cents. So I just want to kind of iron it out, see what you guys think, and give you my 2 cents. So let's go ahead and start with, and for now we're going to go ahead and keep it. For now, we're going to go ahead and keep it into the hip, as it pertains to the hip hop community and the culture as a whole. But I'm going to try to stay on topic, and then I'll get into it a little bit with how some other areas. Okay. So what comes to mind is Lil Bibby, obviously from Chicago, and Lil Bibby says you got to watch guys that, something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing here. Lil Bibby says you got to watch guys that something to the effect of agree with or talk about 6ix9ine or agree with 6ix9ine or something like that, right? And in his world, because I do believe Lil Bibby to be a real one, right? Sure, I absolutely agree with that. Street code, the criminal world, street life, gang life, the whole deal. Yeah, that makes sense. But here's the thing. Also on that is, if you're a gangster, if you're connected, if you're a mob guy, if you're any way, shape, or form really tied into the criminal element in the criminal world, how do you expect a civilian or non-gangster to follow the G code, right? That is what has always perplexed me about this whole situation. In situations like it, people are quick to say, well, so-and-so ratted, so-and-so's a snitch, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but were they a gangster? Were they part of that criminal life? Did you have a real reason to think that their loyalty was going to be to you? Did you have a real reason to think that they would take the bid for you, take the bullet for you, do the time for you? I'm just saying, right? Because all things equal, that has to be in there some kind of way. And you have to be a guy that would reciprocate, if necessary, that same behavior. So a lot of times I think people just throw out, oh, he's a snitch, he's this, he's whatever, and don't really understand the rules that go by it. You know what I mean? Now, that's not to say there's not, whether you follow those rules or not, that's not to say that there's not consequences for those actions. Like, Tekashi's going to have his day. It's coming. He's not a gangster, but that doesn't mean he's not going to suffer the consequences for his actions. And those are 2 separate issues, so let's not get that confused, right? There's always consequences for your actions, right? If anything, his biggest mistake was, and I've said this on another video, he should have never gotten involved with this world. He should have, I mean, you can't play with fire and then act surprised when you get burned. That's crazy. But I believe that goes both ways. You can't be a gangster and confide a degree of trust into somebody that's not a gangster, and then you don't act surprised when they fold on you. That's crazy. And let's not be fooled, right? Snitching in the hip hop community, 6ix9ine ain't the only cat to do this, right? I mean, let's keep it real. 6ix9ine, in fact, like I said, right now is trolling Snoop Dogg and talking about how Snoop basically snitched to get out of, murder. And of course, the one that really talks about this is Suge Knight. You can go on YouTube, and Suge Knight basically says blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, Suge Knight's credibility might be in question, maybe. But nonetheless, Snoop was under the gun and was called a snitch back, during that whole era. 50 Cent, in fact, 50 recently on this whole topic with Tekashi was talking about this new generation is different. I'm from the old school where consequences were dished out and so on and so forth. Okay, sure, I get it. Because I'm from that generation as well, but I also know that not everybody adheres to it. And under enough pressure, anybody gonna crack. And 50, during the whole Murder Inc. and Ja Rule beef, right? There's a lot of interviews out there where Irv Gotti was putting it out there like, hey, 50, the altercation happened, and next thing we know, you at the precinct. Next thing we know, there's a protection order. Next thing we know, you're not indicted or in trouble for anything, but everybody else is. Okay, so that's 50. Okay. I don't want to bring up 50 just because 50 got involved in the whole deal recently and was speaking on it. There's what other rappers? Troy Ave. Right? There's a situation with Troy. There's a situation with Young M.A., Young Ma. T.I., Briscoe. 40 Glock sued Game. Like, over that whole ordeal. Like, sued Game for threatening his life and brandishing a firearm and whooping his ass and all this kind of stuff, right? And all that can be found on YouTube too. So I'm just saying, Tekashi's the hot topic right now. But let's not be fooled. There's a lot of these cats out there. T.I., like I said before, I think T.I. even has a Crime Stoppers commercial out, right? So my whole deal is this. Look, to me, don't snitch on your family, right? Don't snitch on the kids, your mom, your wife, your whatever, right? Dad, whatever. Your day ones, right? Your homies. And day one meaning that you've been down with me and we've been through some stuff together, not just because I knew you back in high school or middle school or something. Like, you really, like, we really family, right? Obviously. But outside of that, how do people expect somebody outside of that world or out of your circle to be that loyal to you, to take the bullet, to do the time? Okay, that's just weird to me. That's just so weird. I mean, is it snitching when a rapper gets his chain snatched, and then all of a sudden that rapper's making phone calls like, hey, who snatched my chain? Or another rapper calls and says, hey, you took so-and-so's chain, you got to give that back. Is that not a form of snitching? Dry snitching, that's a big deal, right? Where you telling on somebody, but not really telling on somebody, but you just happen to let something slip and then do the whole, oh, I didn't know, because I've seen that a lot too. That happens quite a bit as well. And that's a form of snitching. Cooperating with the police in any capacity, is that snitching? Right? And that's where it really gets really crazy for me, because here's the thing. Let's say your mom's house gets robbed or something, right? Or some shady characters around her house. Mom's gives you the phone, gives you the call and says, hey son, somebody broke my house, or there's some whack job out here circling the block. Okay? So you go over there, see what's going on. Maybe, the guy got away. Maybe something happened, maybe something didn't, but the guy gets away for the purposes of this story, right? Now, are you not going to go to your neighbors and say, hey, you see somebody odd around here? You see somebody circling the block? Did you see who climbed in mom's window? Whatever. Now, that neighbor, if they're going to follow the code, they can't say nothing, right? Because that'd be snitching. If somebody did break in mom's house and then you call the cops and the cops say, okay, we're going to ask around to see if anybody saw anything or saw somebody out of the ordinary. Can't nobody speak, right? Because that's snitching. You see what I'm saying? Now, if somebody cooperated and said, yeah, I seen it was a black Cutlass sitting on 20s, went down, blah, 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 blah. Is that snitching? Is that cooperating with the police? And is that the same? Now, I read an article that said something to the effect of, part of the problem with the inner city in black and brown neighborhoods not getting resolution or getting justice in these instances is because of the no snitch policy. And I think that's a half-truth. Because let's be honest. In all honesty, you know what organization really follows the no snitch code? Really follows the no snitch policy? It's the police. The Blue Family, as it's called. And if you ask a cop who the Blue Family is, they'll let you know. That's them. That's a nationwide ordeal. It is an unspoken, maybe sometimes spoken code that cops don't rat on other cops. So much so that with the Black Lives Matter movement and the whole issue with police brutality and everything there, good cops don't tell or don't snitch or don't hold accountable bad cops. So in all honesty, a big portion of the problem in those quote-unquote poor neighborhoods or gang-infested neighborhoods isn't just this no snitch policy of the people that live there, but it's also the no snitch policy of law enforcement. Now on the other side, since I'm on that, is I understand and get it. If you live in some of these neighborhoods, you can't tell because literally your life is in danger. If you see some dirt go down, you can't say nothing because it's going to come back on you. But that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the benefit, right? Is it, if it's about honor and respect and loyalty, then that can't be given to everybody. Not everybody gets that. You come in my neighborhood and you terrorizing everybody in my neighborhood, or you breaking in, stealing stereos, or you mugging old ladies or children on the street. Yeah. I mean, what you expect? I'm going to hold up to the code because there's only two options at that point. Either I got to tell the authorities or I got to go handle it myself. And if I do that, now I'm going to be the one going to jail. And I don't know you. You was just some clown in my neighborhood, or you was just some clown disrespecting my kids or my wife, or I don't owe you nothing. So you can go out there and try to have this whole, well, he's a real one, and then you go do the bid. But I'm not doing the bid, doing the time, or taking the slug for anybody that ain't truly my people. And I don't get in the mix, and I don't proclaim to be a gangster. But my whole thing, I tell this to people all the time: don't get in the mix, and you ain't got to worry about being a snitch. I mean, that's just how it is. So I think this is the whole non-snitching thing really comes from the mob and the mafia, really. But they knew why they were doing it. They knew they didn't want to be held accountable. They knew they wanted to get away with crime. And they knew that if we put it all on this person, the rest of the organization can still flourish. We're not going to get in trouble. We can still run our scams. And then to do you a solid, whoever this other guy, soft hands Jimmy, to do you a solid, you do the time, you do the dime, and we're going to make sure that your people's taken care of. We're going to make sure your wife and your children ain't going to have to want for nothing. The organization is going to take care of them. 9 times out of 10, that's not what's cracking. 9 times out of 10, nobody's doing anything like that. Treyway, honestly, they should have protected 6ix9ine because they was eating off of him. And while I'm on him again, here all roads circling back to this cat, let's not be fooled. Some of you people out there that think that, oh, it's not a real code or whatever. Oh, it's real. Fools on the East Coast and West Coast are being dealt street justice every day, right? So let's not be fooled. Now, people say, well, 6ix9ine got away with it. Got away with what? Got away with what? There's no statute of limitations. This is a street. They got to let things die down. I still believe something's going to happen to this dude, unfortunately, specifically because he's still running his mouth. Jeez Louise, this cat ain't learned nothing. So something's going to happen to him. The people that are in jail because of him, or because of their own actions and getting involved with him, however you want to look at it, the people that are in jail because of him, they have loved ones. And some of them guys is real ones. And some of them are connected to real ones. And so somebody's going to call and say, hey, I need to go ahead and call you on this favor that you owe. Something's going to happen. But they got to let the smoke die down. This guy ain't completely out of the woods. I don't even know what Tekashi 6ix9ine is still even doing in America. Filming videos, getting on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, this dude should have took his money, got a regular hairdo, and he should be living like in a village somewhere in Brazil or something. Like, I don't know what this cat is doing. This dude is, he asking for it. But anyway, I'm back to the topic. If somebody would snitch, so to speak, we would know all the details and really know what's going on with the murder of Tupac. Really know all the details and all the situation about Biggie, Big L, Nip, right? Who's really all involved? Why did this situation occur? Who really did all the dirt? You know what I mean? But there's no snitch policy. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's I don't know, man. It's really, I get it. I mean, it's really controversial. But you just can't give your loyalty to anybody. And make better choices so you ain't got to worry about this nonsense. I mean, this is crazy. But anyway, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit that little bell so you know when I'm posting. But until next time, this is Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood. Peace.